All right, let's dive into a book that might just completely change how you think about your daily life. It's Daniel Pink's To Sell as Human. And trust me, it flips the whole idea of selling right on its head.
So let me ask you something. Do you see yourself as a salesperson? I'm guessing if you're a teacher, a manager, a parent, your gut reaction is probably no way. But what if I told you that a huge part of your day is spent doing pretty much exactly that?
So get this. The research in this book is kind of mind-blowing. It turns out the average professional spends 40% of their time at work in what's called non-sales selling. Just think about that for a second. Persuading, convincing, influencing. That's almost half of your workday spent just moving other people.
And that leads us right to the book's absolute core idea. We're kicking off with Section 1. We're all in sales. And listen, this isn't just some catchy slogan. It's about a massive shift in how we really need to think about our work and maybe even our lives.
The numbers really paint a picture, don't they? Okay, so about 1 out of every 9 people has sales, literally in their job title. But what about the other 8? Well, they're busy convincing their team on a new project, or getting students excited about learning, or, pitching a new idea to their boss. This is the new world of non-sales selling.
And Pink just nails it with this quote. We're all in sales now. It's not a career for a handful of people anymore. It's become a basic, fundamental human skill that pretty much everyone needs. And you can really see how much the game has changed when you put them side by side. The old model, that was the door-to-door salesman, right? The guy who held all the information. But today, we're curators. We're not just trying to close a deal anymore. We're trying to actually motivate and engage people. The whole thing's been turned inside out.
So why? Why did everything change so dramatically? Well, that's exactly what Section 2 is all about, the power shift. This is the story of how the entire market got disrupted, making all those old, pushy sales tactics totally useless.
For hundreds of years, sales worked because of something called information asymmetry. It's a fancy term, but it's simple. The seller knew way more than the buyer. They held all the cards about the product, the real price, the competition, and that gave them a massive, massive advantage. But then, the internet came along and just blew that whole model up. We went from caveat emptor, which means buyer beware, to caveat venditor, seller beware. Because now you, the buyer, have reviews, price comparisons, everything right at your fingertips. The power has completely shifted. And now, being honest and helpful is really the only way to win in the long run. And really, what this all boils down to is pretty simple. In a world where everyone has access to the same information, those old manipulative tactics are just dead. Being transparent isn't just a nice little bonus anymore. It's absolutely essential. Okay, so if the old playbook is totally obsolete, what do we use instead? Well, that brings us to Section 3, the new ABCs. This is Pink's modern guide for how to actually effectively move other people. You can forget that old mantra, always be closing. The new ABCs of success are attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. These 3 things are the bedrock for persuading and influencing people in our new, transparent world. So first up, you've got attunement. This is all about perspective. It's that skill of getting out of your own head for a minute and trying to see the world from someone else's point of view. It's the absolute starting line for any real connection. Next up is buoyancy. And look, anyone who tries to move people, whether you're selling a car or just an idea, is going to face a ton of rejection. It's just part of the deal. Buoyancy is that inner strength, that mix of grit and optimism that helps you stay afloat in what feels like an ocean of no's. And finally, clarity. In a world where we're all drowning in information, giving people more information isn't helpful. The real value is in finding the right information, and more importantly, finding the right problems. Clarity is the skill of helping people make sense of it all and see a problem they didn't even know they had. Okay, so now that we've got the mindset down with the new ABCs, let's talk about the practical skills that actually bring it to life. This is Section 4, Skills for Moving Others. Pink points to 3 really crucial skills: the ability to pitch, to improvise, and to serve. We're going to touch on the first 2 here, because that third one, serve, is really the big idea that ties this whole thing together at the end. Let's start with the pitch. Pink makes this super bold claim. The classic elevator pitch, that 30-second speech you memorize, it's dead. It's totally obsolete. In a world of short attention spans and constant back and forth, it just doesn't land anymore. So what do we do instead? Well, Pink offers some really cool modern alternatives, like the one-word pitch, which forces you to be incredibly clear, or the question pitch, which is so powerful because it gets the other person to think and come up with their own reasons to agree with you. And then there's the Pixar pitch, which uses simple storytelling to make your idea unforgettable. Next is the skill of improvisation. And the whole spirit of improv is captured in this one little phrase, yes, and. It's about hearing what someone else is saying, accepting it, and then building on it. It's the total opposite of shutting them down with, yes, but. This approach just opens up so much possibility and collaboration in any conversation. And all of this, it brings us to the final and I think most powerful conclusion of the book, which really reframes this whole conversation. Section 5, to sell is human.
And this quote, this gets to the absolute heart of the new definition of selling. It's not about being slick. It's not about taking something from someone. It's an act of service. It's about convincing someone to do something because you genuinely believe it will leave them better off in the end. That's the whole point.
So in the end, moving others is just a fundamental part of being human. It's not a dirty word. When we do it right, with attunement, with buoyancy, and with clarity, it's one of the most human things we can do. It's about connection, and it's about making someone's life or work or world just a little bit better. So I'll leave you with this to think about. With this new perspective, who are you going to try to move today? Your kid? Your colleague? Your customer? Because the opportunities, they're absolutely everywhere.